My name's Sam Leamy. Welcome to the Third Touch Soccer Podcast. I'm here with Michael McLaughlin and Connor Walsh. My coffee is cold. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
You talking shit right off the bat? Jesus.
I didn't. No, I was.
So, oh wait, you know what? I forgot. We're not supposed to curse anymore.
Oh yeah, did your mum give you a little bit of crap?
Yeah, the last episode was pretty rough.
I told my mom that she was not allowed to listen.
So emotions were running high since the last time we were here. USA had just been knocked out of the World Cup. A lot of conspiracies. I know you're into conspiracies, Mike. I know you have a lot to say. I know you've calmed down a lot, though, in the last few days.
What are you trying to say?
Well, we were just talking about cryptocurrencies and how...
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. The Third Touch podcast about to be all millionaires crypto-wise. Anyway.
Yeah, that was a 40-minute discussion on cryptocurrency. So anyone out there buy Bitcoin, you heard it from us. But yeah, I know we've all calmed down a little bit. Bruce Arena has left his job, fired, mutual consent. Does it matter?
It doesn't really matter. He resigned, but it doesn't. The terminology doesn't matter.
Well, if he resigns, he's not entitled to any unemployment. Does he get the rest? I'm sure it's got to be mutual consent. So there's an agreement. There's a payoff agreement.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a little settlement of some sort.
Gallardi still in place.
It doesn't look like he wants to go anywhere.
I mean, who's going to fire Gallardi? I mean,
you can't.
You can't fire him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's February to the election. He won't get reelected, though.
I don't know, man. No one is really...
If he gets reelected, then our USA soccer is just as corrupt as FIFA.
Well, the thing is, this is just such a big opportunity to restructure.
Hot take, Mike.
But it's such a big opportunity to restructure, and with him in charge, the restructuring is just not going to happen. And no one has really stepped up to the plate. There's been some murmurings about our dear friend Kyle Martino, maybe.
Yeah, he already said he's come out with a statement and said he's not going to run for election.
He said he's not.
I mean, everyone's saying that is the great white hope that everyone's really pushing forward for him to, take that position.
Well, who else has been mentioned? Eric Winalda, right? He's mentioned it.
Alexi Lalas in the past, who's already counted himself out. They're all broadcasters now, and I think they're very comfortable with their job, where they're at.
Yeah, I think that if you're a broadcaster, you just get to hear what you're saying. But I think someone who actually should run it is someone who's run like professional organizations or something.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think any of us are big fans of Eric Winalda as terms of a broadcaster, but he has coached at various levels.
I like him.
Well, you like him? I hate him. But regardless, he is experienced in U.S. soccer and has coached at different levels. He currently coaches an NPSL team, the LA Wolves. So he knows the lower structure, and he could be a proponent for
the
changing.
LA Wolves, did you say?
Yeah, NPSL,
Nice.
4th Division. They usually do make a little run in the U.S. Open Cup. He also coached the
Are there any Wolves in LA?
No, there's no lakes either.
There's got to be coyotes in the mountain.
There could be. Well, I mean, I don't know. There's no one has really come out and said, I'm going to run for president. What would your guys' thoughts on Jurgen Klinsmann running for president be? Because that seems like more of a role that he is suited in, because he's definitely not a manager. However, he knows, he was in charge of the German youth system overhaul, and we've seen what that has done for the German.
But wasn't that part of his job when he came in? He had a lot of access to changing the curriculum at a youth level.
Yeah, but there's only so much as manager of the senior team that you can really do. He has to manage the national team. He doesn't have time to be restructuring a youth system. I think he did make some changes. Well,
if you look at what Philip Lahm wrote about, he said he was a horrible in-game manager, right? And he was bad. He wasn't a player's manager. But you can't deny, when you look at what he did to our program, him and Tab Ramos, the U17 and the U20 are doing as best as they've ever done, and that has a lot to do with what Klinsmann put in, set up. So I have no problem. I would think it'd be cool. It would be funny, but it'd be cool. I think he was a really good technical director.
Yeah, that's more of the role that he is suited for. So I mean, again, that's not even a story yet. I've seen people saying, "What about Klinsmann?" I don't think it will happen. But
well, what about Uncle Bruce?
No,
I think
it's like the American player and the American coach. If you're American, you could. Dude, he's just too much. I love Bruce, but it's like I can't take. I mean, I can't see Graham Zuzu's my starting center back. I don't want to hear it.
I think that
I love all those guys, but I can't. MLS definitely, dude. This is right up in our face. MLS has hurt our national team.
But it
I don't care
hasn't.
what anybody says.
It hasn't, because it's helped every other national team in CONCACAF other than the
Yes.
U.S. Come on.
Well, I've heard this. I've heard this
go
from
on.
someone else as well, and it's not the MLS. The MLS is going to exist regardless. I mean, you're not forced to pick players from the MLS. You can pick players from around the globe. There's hundreds of US players playing in many leagues around the world. Bruce Arena wasn't forced to pick the MLS players for the qualifiers. He wasn't. He was comfortable picking the MLS players for the qualifiers because he knew them. He knew how they played, how they would come in, and the structure of that's what Bruce knew. So saying the MLS has hurt the national team in a small proportion, yes, but the league is going to exist. The league is great. It's growing. It's grown, and it's gonna grow even more.
And like I said, it's helped out. It helps Honduras, it helps Costa Rica, it helps Mexico, and it helps Panama and Trinidad for that matter.
It's helped all those teams out, and that's great for us. I mean, for everything. But I think if you guys, I don't know if we're gonna tackle the Jermaine Jones Instagram. You guys seen that?
Yeah, I have this down here.
Okay, all right. So, but before that, can I actually release? I have a statement.
We'll get to your statement in a minute.
I just got to get off my chest. But all right. You let me know.
Well, since we've calmed down since the last podcast, we've spoke since and the systematic changes that needs to happen from youth level all the way through. Now Bruce is out. Now Gallardi's not on his way out, so that's going to be a struggle getting him out. But we can still change it from youth level. I talked to you guys about me coaching here in the United States. I liked Colin Cowherd's rant a few days after the US getting knocked out. And it's a pay-to-play system. And everyone's silver-spooned from such a young age. They're given everything. And I don't know if you're going to go on to the Jermaine Jones's rant that he did about Jordan Morris. And I remember even before he came out and said that, there is no reason why Jordan Morris shouldn't be one of the main guys for the national team. He chose to stay in Seattle because he was comfortable that his dad's the doctor, his girlfriend's there, and they just bought a fucking dog. Excuse the language.
Well, you got to explain this to the audience because a lot of them probably have not heard.
Yeah, you got to. So
what?
Jermaine Jones released a interview clip or statement, and he was saying that when Jordan Morris was deciding between Seattle and Werder Bremen when they expressed interest, Jurgen Klinsmann called Jermaine Jones and said, "Hey, as a German American, can you talk to Jordan Morris about the benefit of playing in Germany?" Trying to get him to help him make his decision, and Jordan Morris told Jermaine Jones that his dad's the doctor, he can live at home. Him and his girlfriend just bought a dog together, and Jermaine Jones' response was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, is you actually, like, this is your reason for not furthering yourself?" And at the time, I think I wasn't super opposed to him staying in Seattle, but after hearing those reasons, it's like, dude, that is kind of embarrassing.
How much has he progressed in the last few years? He's gotten worse.
He hasn't gotten worse.
He's not even close to the national team. He's not close now.
No, he was on the national team.
He was getting called up to the national team when he was still in college.
Yeah, he's been getting called up too. He hurt his hamstring. That said, I think what I was saying, Jermaine Jones
for Seattle. Otherwise, he would have been in this camp.
He's fucking running after his dog.
Jermaine Jones, the best statement he had was when he said back when Bob Bradley was the coach, like 2010, 2011, like 80-90% of the team was playing in Europe. And they have all come back, man, and they are softer. I mean, they're not working as hard. When you're competing every single day or you're not going to eat, that kind of mentality, you do get better at whatever you're trying to get great at.
Yeah, the off season isn't as intense as what they do in Europe. You can play.
The regular season isn't as intense as it is.
No promotions, no relegation. There's no intensity anywhere really in the MLS.
And
you have that line. You have that line in the MLS. It's like the top 6, bottom 6 is the line to make the playoffs is between success and failure. That's it. If you're in the top 6 in those teams, that's a successful season. If you've made the playoffs, that's your promotion relegation. Then the bottom 6, there's changes every year. Managers get fired. There's an overhaul of the team, pretty much. And that's how MLS teams are judged. But yes. So, Mike, I know you've got a lot of things to get off your chest since the last pod. I know you've written a brief statement to the U.S. Soccer Federation, and to yourself, I guess.
Well, you know what it was? Is because I listened back and I thought that really this is about like I was embarrassed a little bit by some of the things I said because I really don't know what I'm talking about half the time. Yeah, when you're really rooting for your team,
But when
you
you're
don't really
passionate,
know.
when you're passionate, you don't. You're
Really, yeah.
biased. You're
You're out of
over the top. Your emotions are flying, and you felt pain, and I know you did a
Yeah.
few days after, like a week after. You were texting us, going, "I
Yeah.
didn't think it was." You were waking up every morning. It was the
Yeah.
first thing you were
It was
thinking
so
about.
weird.
It was
I
like
woke up in-
breaking up with your girlfriend that you love, or
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know you've.
I mean, the USA men's doesn't like haunt my dreams, but close. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
it's like a gut wrenching feeling, and I've had this.
It is,
but then
yeah.
you just got to tell yourself it's just a game. It's just a game. It's not just a freaking game. It's life.
Well, all right. Well, here's what I'm going to say. All right. So here's my state of this USA Soccer Union. First off, I'd like to congratulate Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, and Honduras for making it out of the hex.
Does that hurt for you to say that? To congratulate
A little bit, but no. But because here's the issue. You know, it's taken much reflection and soul searching to say this, but I think it's the truth. They are better at soccer than we are. Legitimately better. And I think our blind optimism easily can turn into misplaced arrogance. And I apologize for this. And I don't know how many times I talked about the pitches and the conditions and how everything's against us and it's not fair and we should be playing on pitches like they do in Europe and we would coast right into the World Cup and we deserve to be there. But the thing is we don't. These teams beat us. We've never done well on the road there. And I think it's time that we are just excited to go and play there rather than look at it as we got to go there and play and it's not fair. More, we should look at it as I'm excited to go there and I hope we can get a point. This is going to be fun. And basically I stopped writing about 2 sentences ago, but that was it.
There you go, Mike. Get off your chest.
Soccer state. Yeah, a little bit. Connor, what do you feel about that?
Well, first off, I don't think that Panama is better than us at soccer. I don't think Honduras is necessarily better than us at soccer. Costa Rica and Mexico are definitely maybe they are a step above us, no doubt. But I think that the point you made about the arrogance is the most important part because that arrogance led us to drawing late against Honduras and not going down there and winning. Drawing at Panama. We drew at Panama, right? 1-1.
Yeah.
Dempsey scored late, I think. And then losing to Trinidad on Tuesday or whatever. So I think that arrogance is the main point that led to these results. I think that comes from the manager potentially, definitely the players. I think there was on Tuesday there definitely was a bit of arrogance that led to a completely flat performance. And then I think Claudio Reyna released a statement, on his take, ex-USA midfielder, and he said that as the technical director of New York City FC, he said that there is definitely an arrogance in the U.S. soccer community where he says, you go over and talk to the Barcelona U14, U15 coach, and this is him as a technical director of a professional club. He said, you go over there and they want to learn from you. Even though you're American, they want to learn from you. They want to hear about your club. And this is, Barcelona, the best youth academy in the world. They want to learn from different perspectives. And if you go to a club in the United States and talk to the head of that club, the technical director, they have every answer. That's what he said. They don't want to learn. And this is a top-to-bottom thing. And there is an arrogance. And it's from the fans, players, coaches, where we don't really have anything to be arrogant on. I mean, maybe we've, in the past have more or less coasted through CONCACAF hexagonal qualifying. But, we did not perform against teams that are not as good as us. And we were arrogant, and we did not take the game as seriously as we should, and now we're not going to the World Cup.
We've never done well on the road in CONCACAF in the Hex ever. I think it's I think every year it's like 6 points, 5 points, 3 points. It's always low. I don't even know how many games we've won on the road since '98.
Yeah, it's generally the home form that's got you through, and losing those 2 home games against the 2 big boys in the Hex definitely started through qualifying, and then you had to get points on the road. But yeah, I mean, Yeah, nice little statement there, Mike. Thanks for getting
I
that.
think, Mike, the fact that you are self-aware enough about your own arrogance is like a step in the right direction, because you need fans and people that are thinking about it intelligently and not just off emotion. And like the fact that you're able to go back and reflect is a good. And
Dude, well, I was doing it kind of tongue in cheek because I don't, you know what I mean? Because I don't really know everything, but it is true. Like, I'm a huge basketball fan. Like, I watch the NCAA tournament every year. And when you're a small college, you know, like I'm a big Siena fan. Like, if I root for Siena, when they make it into the tournament, I'm so hyped for every game. I'm so happy to be there and excited for the challenge. You know, whatever. You know, I'm not playing, but I'm pumped. But when USA goes down to Honduras, I'm not pumped. I'm annoyed as a fan.
oh, I feel the same way. It's hard to get excited when you're, a 3 o'clock kickoff in World Cup qualifying and there's 6,000 Honduras fans there. It's hard to get excited for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the one game at the beginning of the cycle. It was last August against St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing on a cricket pitch. There was literally no one there. It's like watching a game on a high school field. However, we need. I mean, we won that game 6-1. But regardless, that is the reality of the confederation we're in, and I think going into the next cycle, you have to get excited for that. You have to be nervous to go away to Honduras. You have to be nervous to go away to Trinidad, as opposed to just being like, we'll get a 2-1
I mean, truth
win.
is too, if the coach had just been a little more respectful and just went with a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1, we would have won that game.
But the thing is, we're still the better team, so we have to approach that game confidently, but not arrogantly. And you have to throw out a lineup that is good enough to win. You know what I mean? It's two sides. You have to be confident, but you can't be arrogant. But yeah, it was a good statement, buddy. I
think we're changing. The fan culture is changing a little bit.
Well, it has to. Everything has to.
I'm kind of over. I'll be honest with you, man. I love the Outlaws and all this shit, but the blind optimism and like, I've never been with it. I'm more of like, I'd rather be like in a suit, drinking some tea, talking shit about the team, like over on the side, than like big American flag jumping up and down. That's just how my personality is. That's what I'd rather do. It's more fun to do, like, and then get pumped when we win,
and then celebrate with them.
Yeah, then celebrate, and then go over the flag. Like, yeah, I was always with you guys.
I think that as fans, it's good to be a little bit cynical.
Yeah,
a little bit negative. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like, Sam, if you go to England games, like when you really watch an England game, are you blind?
Sam hasn't enjoyed an England game in a decade, and that's a good thing.
I have very low expectations of England. I have since '96. 98, I would say. So that's nearly 20 years of being constantly disappointed by the national team. 20 years. And going to games, I've never really gone to England qualifiers. They're always pretty dull. We've seen this last qualifying campaign. Home to Slovenia, 1-0. It's never lightning soccer for England in the qualifying. They generally qualify for the big tournaments, but they labour through the qualifying, and it's very boring. Every qualification game, there's a different team, there's a different call-up. At least with the United States, you have that core group of people for each qualifying campaign. With England, it's different. It's a different team every other day. They don't keep the same 11. Obviously, the demands of the Premier League is a lot higher, and there are a lot of injuries, and the clubs have a little bit more pull to get their players out of the national team for irrelevant qualifiers. But yeah, going on to the coach for USA, there's been a lot of names thrown around. Laurent Blanc is one of the favorites.
Laurent Blanc, Sam Allardyce, and then I think in reality the probably Tab Ramos, the current under-20 coach, will be.
He's the most obvious choice.
It is, and I think he'll maybe be interim manager, and then going forward, and like we said in the episode following, the men's national team job, I still think is a pretty top job in soccer, in world football. Like, to get that job, I think it's a good job because there's so much potential, and you can build such a legacy, and the resources are there. I think it's still a top job, so it will be interesting to see who the next manager is. I think the thing is, we have this friendly that's been announced against Portugal on November 14th, so someone has to be named soon, and because they're going to have to pick a team, and it's going to be really interesting to see who is called up. because this is also happening in the middle of MLS playoffs. It is a FIFA weekend. It is an international break weekend, but it's still in the middle of playoffs.
Well, that's good because none of those guys getting called in anyway.
Well, I want to go through.
So, like before, like being American, would you rather an American coach or a foreign coach? I would like to see the rule, even though foreign managers in national teams do bring a different kind of approach for the national team. I feel like if the players are from that country, the manager has to be from that country, right?
I mean, yeah, something about that does seem weird. You know, like Bob Bradley's coaching Egypt, or whoever's was it Capello? Who was coaching? Was coaching England.
Well, we had Sven
it is weird.
As well.
Yeah, it's because when you do win, it's and then the USA women's coach was the Swedish woman, right? Uh-huh. But they all end up like moving to the United States and just end up living. I don't know. They end up like becoming citizens and living here most of the time. But I wouldn't mind. I mean, we don't have the ability, the coaching that can do it.
I think for now you need to be looking abroad. Because I know like Peter Vermes, the coach of Sporting Kansas City, has been linked to that position for 2 years now. He was even maybe going to replace Klinsmann. He's, you can see with Sporting Kansas City, he's been one of the best managers in America. Another guy like is Oscar Pereira from FC Dallas, because they're kind of struggling this year, but he's built up this incredible youth system. That's the best youth system in America right now. He might have some good ideas. It's gonna be the manager is important, but you can't have the complete overhaul that's needed with just the manager. The president
cool with Tab.
I don't have a problem with Tab, but we need the overhaul from top to bottom.
Tab might do it. Tab might, when he has nobody over the top of him, and Tab might be. I mean, he probably is our best coach. I mean, he's probably the most successful. In the past,
he's in the middle of the setup right now, and he knows the setup. And if he steps up, he'll have that ability to change. Plus, he'll know most of the players that are coming through right now, right from the U17s, the U20s, And he's gained a relationship with a lot of the players and the families.
What about Tab?
They still have a choice to go to different. I mean, there's Timothy Weah. There's other players in those youth setups that still have the choice to go to other countries, play for other countries, because you're not set for that national team until you get if you play a competitive game, a FIFA recognized game.
I would go with I'm good with Tab, and then after the World Cup, maybe I've heard some rumors of even Ancelotti.
Wow.
That's what I read.
See, I think Tab is perfect because he can guide us through not being in the World Cup, and then following the World Cup when we're starting up this cycle again. Then at that point we have someone there for the whole time, and we're not firing.
I know you said David Wagner, and I still like that a lot, but I think that he won't want to come yet. He hasn't built his name up.
He doesn't want to leave. He's not going to leave Huddersfield. He's not going to leave Europe yet. Give it a decade maybe, but he's not leaving yet.
No, he's a club manager right now, and you know how the effects of failing at national team levels can really affect your CV for future jobs. He wants to definitely build his way up in club management first, and then, towards the middle to end of his career, definitely go over to the United States.
That's why the Ancelotti rumor, which I read, not an article, it was a comment on an article, maybe 20 comments down, but viable source. I actually thought something like that would be great. So a legend manager who's moved away, who's gotten over with club football and now is looking.
Well, he's
for
going back to AC Milan. There's no doubt about that.
Hopefully for both him and it'd just be perfect setup. But one thing I want to do real quick is there's so much speculation on what the lineup is going to be.
Yeah.
Going, especially with this November qualifier, we're going to have a good November friendly against Portugal. We're going to have a little bit of a better taste of what the future is going to hold, I guess. And obviously, there's a lot of guys who should probably never play for the national team again going forward, just for the sake of the program. But Matthew Doyle, who is, in my opinion, the best MLS journalist and one of the best journalists in the United States when it comes to soccer, he released a projected 23-man roster for this November game, and I kind of want to go through it. And bear in mind, this is during MLS playoffs, so some guys might not be called up depending on how their club is doing. But just starting at goalkeeper, Bill Hamid, DC United. No, that's fine with me. Ethan Horvath, Club Brugge, Zach Steffen, Columbus Crew. Those are your three keepers. Left back, Villafana again. Brandon Vincent from Chicago Fire. I think Brandon Vincent, just based on how well he's played for Chicago, both defensively and going forward, that is someone that is probably more long-term. Villafana's been okay.
Yeah.
He hasn't been, I think, what we were hoping he was going to be, but still he's been fine. It hasn't been a disaster or anything. Center back, Jeff Cameron, Matt Miazga, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and Justin Glad. We saw Justin Glad at the Under-20 World Cup, plays for Real Salt Lake. And Matt Miazga is making waves right now at Vitesse. Ajax is interested. He's starting every game for them, and they're doing pretty well. They won the Dutch Cup last year, so he's doing very well in the Netherlands. Right back, DeAndre Yedlin, of course. Tyler Adams, he's played some right back for Red Bulls. I think he's definitely more of a defensive midfielder. But again, he's going to have to start getting the national team picture. Defensive midfielder, Jonathan Gonzalez. Again, we saw him at the Under-20 World Cup. He's killing it for Monterrey right now. Danny Williams was what he threw in there. Center midfield, Weston McKinney, finally. Callan Acosta, and then he threw Alejandro Bedoya in there, which is, whatever. Attacking midfielder, Christian Pulisic, Paul Areola, Kellen Roll, and Kenny Saif. It's fine with me. One thing at the defensive midfielder he said was, depending on playoffs, Christian Roldan could be thrown in there, and Roldan is so good for Seattle that he should be in the picture. And then just at forward, Bobby Wood, Haji Wright, and then Christian Ramirez from Minnesota, who has done very well, especially the second half of the season. So that's not going to be our long-term lineup. However, you got to start looking forward. And
I mean, why not give Sargent a call up at this point?
I don't know, man. He's playing at the Under-17 World Cup. I don't think he's going to be called up against Portugal in 2 weeks.
But why not?
He's not ready yet.
That's a total.
No, I think we overrate MLS so much. I think we overrate good play in MLS to such a high level, and then it's so much. I hate to shit on MLS. I love MLS, but it's so not one of our MLS guys that's done great in the past 3-4 years goes on the international level and rips it up. They just do all right. And I think Nagby is the only one that's ever looked pretty good. And then you get him against a top level competition, and he doesn't look as good as when he plays.
I think we want the MLS players to be better than they are. That's probably right. However, those who our players are, that's what we have, and we have to work with it. And picking through the crop of MLS is what we have to do. And I think that the players that were listed in that, again, this is in the middle of MLS playoffs. It could be completely different than what he projected, and that's just his opinion. However, it's good to see all the fresh names that we can see.
That is good, yeah. If that does happen,
Yeah, so gonna be very interesting.
So Fabian Johnson done now, 29 done.
Probably, I don't know. Probably not. No, he's probably not done. But
I mean, that's a very young team that he's predicted there. But moving on to the youth levels of United States and England. We'll touch on England. The U17 World Cup is going on right now in India. England and USA breezed through the group stages, I would say. Breezed through.
Yeah, despite USA finishing third, they still won 2 out of their 3 games and had 6 points.
Yeah, so USA 3-0 first game against India in India. Huge crowd there.
50-something, 60,000.
Wow. Yeah.
USA in the second game 1-0 against Ghana. But then going down to Colombia 3-1 in the final game. England 3 wins out of 3 in their group. England 4-0 against Chile, 3-2 against Mexico, and 4-0 against Iraq. Going on to the knockout stages in the last 16, USA dominated Paraguay. I did watch the first half at home, then I went to the gym. 5-0 against Paraguay, getting the updates from the Third Touch Twitter profile, and then England drawing against Japan yesterday, but winning on penalties. No extra time, but winning on penalties. So the two face off in the quarterfinals on Saturday at 10:30. Excitement for this. I know you've been following it a little bit, Mike. But USA, they look like beasts. They have a couple of great attacking wingers in that team, going for that 4-5-1 with Josh Sargent up front, but so much power, pace down the flanks. And they look like they can dominate teams. Tim Weah, Timothy Weah, the legend son, George Weah's son, World Footballer of the Year in 1996. I have no idea how he's an American citizen, but
He's
he's
born in
playing.
Brooklyn.
Well, did you hear about George Weah is going to be the president of Liberia?
Really?
Like the
Well,
actual.
they have more elections to go through, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
close.
he's like the top candidate to be president of the country.
Wow, Liberian legend, great player, played for AC Milan, was probably the best player in the world for a couple of years there, 96, 97. Unfortunately, we never saw him at the World Cup stage. But England looking very impressive as well. Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund, the young kid, has been called back by Borussia Dortmund to compete for their youth UEFA Champions League. Huge disappointment, huge loss for England there in the eve of that Japan game. But how much have you seen, guys, of this World Cup so far, and what are your impressions of the up-and-coming talent for the United States?
So I have seen just about every minute of every USA game, and it's been a pretty fun ride, honestly, and the talent is there. Obviously, the big names, which we knew before this World Cup even started, were, and I'm sure a lot of casual USA fans know Josh Sargent following his extremely impressive performance at the Under-20 World Cup. Andrew Carleton, who we first saw at the Nike friendlies against Brazil in the final, was probably last winter, right? It was a little bit
Yeah.
ago. That's the first time we heard of him.
It was about a year ago, yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta United player. And then Tim Weah, just because his dad, and then he plays for PSG. But this team is very, very solid. James Sands, NYCFC central defender. He made his debut against Colorado a few weeks ago on the
He looks
first team.
solid. He looks like a...
Dude, he's been sick, man. He's really, really solid. Chris Durkin, holding midfielder from DC United, has looked very good. Ayo Akinola, Portland Timbers winger. I don't know. It's just a good team. Plus, you have the
Gosling's been played outstanding.
Yeah, Gosling's
too.
been great. Dest, the left back from Ajax, has been great. It's just a good team with exciting talent.
And it's one of those things, too. It's the same thing we watch MLS. Like, I just want to be like, put them as the first team. That's our squad,
I mean, there are still kids. I saw the first half of the Paraguay game, and there were glimpses of huge excitement and talent, but then there would be a lot of stray passes. There would be a lot of weak points.
Well, it's part of the youth game.
They're 16, 17 years
they're
old.
not good enough to...
Well, that also, too, a lot of these times in these U17, when they blow out a team 5-0, 6-0, it's really not fair. It's like one team's dominating, they go up 2 goals with 30 minutes left, and it might as well be 5 goals. And then it just gets poured on. The other team gets mentally broke down, and they're 16-year-olds. They're not gonna like fight.
The game.
I mean, after a while, they're gonna go, all right.
But the game against Paraguay was definitely the best performance so far, and it was against a team in Paraguay that won their group.
They haven't lost a game.
Yeah, so that was a very impressive win, and if things are starting to click, it's a good time for that to start happening, because England's not going to be... It's going to be a very good game. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, they're very similar as well. The 2 knockout games I saw in the last couple of days, they are very similar teams. Big guys, fast guys. They can control the ball very well. England obviously losing their most influential player a couple of days ago, but USA would have preferred Japan to go through in that second round. But I mean, for our entertainment and our entertainment only, it's USA v England on Saturday.
I think we have a tradition here, England USA, but also USA tends to play better when they look up to their opponent. So
I don't think USA look up to England anymore. I don't think that's the thing.
Of course they. I mean, in soccer, you guys produce. If you really look at the England's starting 11 versus you, you have 4 or 5 guys that can walk in on almost any team. We have one guy,
Well, 12 months ago, you had a different tone there, Michael. You were saying if USA play England in 10 games, USA are winning 8 of those games. I think I'm going to like episode 2 or 3. I think that's...
No way. Well, we might still win them because you're a bad team. You guys are bad at like functioning together. But as individually, yeah, come on. But I think this USA team, I have no idea what's going to happen in these games. It is just fun to watch. USA could blow them out, or it could be a great game, or England could blow them out. You really don't know.
That's the thing.
I think it's going to be a very open game.
There's not many experts at the under 17 level.
Exactly.
All you can really do is know about your team, which we have a looks like a very, very good team with players across good MLS clubs and across Europe. So there's only so much you can know. So you kind of just watch the game and enjoy it. It's kind of fun because you don't know who.
Do you think Carlton could? I mean, he looks so good. He looks so dominant on the ball. He looks like our best prospect.
He was like phenomenal against Paraguay.
He looks like our best prospect since Pulisic. I mean, but you can't tell. It's really hard to tell. Is it fat? Is that as fast as the game is? For a U19 team on the reserve squad in Europe, in the Premier League, and the Bundesliga, you don't know. You're like, I mean, he looks so good, and he has an awareness. You don't even know. He didn't see that guy. That pass he had to Weah for the last goal.
Yeah,
flashed up and saw him, and then he kept playing, and then he played this perfect ball behind the defender. I mean, he looks great, but it's tough to tell. Like, does that?
Yeah, you don't know how the players are going to translate and make the step up. I mean, obviously they're still growing lads and they're still learning the game. This U17 team isn't going to be the men's national team in a few years. It just isn't how it works. There's going to be 2-3 players that are going to...
At best.
And you have to make the right choices, They're in good stead. I mean, Timothy Weah at PSG, he's just gonna, he's at one of the. He's going to training with name. Well,
I heard that he trains against the first team like at least a few times a week. So I mean, come on,
that's crazy. How much every day he's learning. Every time he touches the ball, every second. Jordan Morris at Seattle isn't going up against a 36-year-old Clint Dempsey and learning that much. He'll learn a bit, but not as much as the players he's around at PSG. So if they make the right choices and they're guided the right way, a few of these players can definitely make the step up in the next couple of years. Definitely, 100%. I have no doubt.
The finish Weah had on that one goal. I mean, that's probably goal of the tournament
so far. I haven't watched every game because they're not really televised too much. But from what the journalists have been saying, that's been the best goal. And one thing about Weah is that he's in number 9 for PSG, but with Josh Sargent in this squad, he's been pushed out to the wing, and we haven't seen the best of Timothy Weah, but I think we got a very good glimpse of what he can do.
Yeah, there was no goals in the group stages, but he definitely stepped up in the knockout stages. And what I do like about these young lads, especially the United States and England, is how confident they look on the ball. They don't look phased at all. A lot of them are going to the other side of the world, some for the first time, and being away for a month for that long is definitely challenging, not only for themselves but for their family. And they're in the middle of Asia in kind of uncomfortable situation there. But the way they've looked confident on the ball, and England teams don't look confident ever when they play in these big tournaments. And I think that's the second penalty shootout I've seen England win in the last 25 years, 30 years. It's crazy.
There does seem to be a little bit of swagger to this USA team, especially with Carlton and Weah. They're definitely guys with a lot of flair. I follow them both on Instagram, and they're just like posting like swagged out pics with broads. Dude, Andrew Carlton is like, he's chilling with a bunch of broads, y'all. You gotta check out his Instagram, check out Timothy Weah's Instagram, because they just like seem like pretty cool dudes that are just enjoying playing soccer, and I like watching this because they're not disappointing yet. They're just young kids having fun.
I cannot follow 16-year-olds. I'm not gonna do it. I can't go, oh, this dude's living the life, bro. Man, what a cool. I can't.
Okay.
Yo.
Okay, so the quarterfinal matchups: England, United States, Saturday, 10:30. Tune in for that, guys. All the games are live on Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, right?
Or Fox Soccer Plus, which nobody gets loaded in the bar.
Germany, Brazil play the winners of that game. That's the tough part of the draw. Germany, they lost against, I think, Iran in the group stage 4-0, but they've come back strong. Germany always look, they get stronger as the tournament goes on. They beat Colombia 4-0 in the round of 16. Brazil knocking out Honduras 3-0, so they're up against each other. United States, so we just said, beat Paraguay 5-0. England going through on penalties against Japan. Mali 5-1 against Iraq. Will play Ghana 2-0 winners against Niger. All these young African teams normally do well. I think Nigeria are the most successful country.
They've won 5 under-17 World Cups. It's because they're playing with 23-year-olds, but
no, and Mexico always does really well at the U17s as well.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's no birth certificates over there.
Okay. Spain knocking out France, one of the favorites, 2-1, and Iran beating Mexico. Iran looking very strong, but the United States' best place finishes was 4th place in 1999. England, their best finishes, they've never got past the quarterfinal stage. So I wouldn't say who's favourites in this game. England may be slightly favourites, but they have lost their talisman in Sancho. But it's going to be a very exciting game. I'm really looking forward to it, more so than the Premier League games this weekend.
Definitely. I'm way more looking forward to this under 17 game.
I'll be on the West Coast, so I got to wake up at what, like 7:30?
7:30.
What?
Yeah, I'll be in like San Fran and Los Angeles this weekend. This week.
Fun.
Yo, one fun fact, and hopefully it turns out better for Josh Sargent. But
Going to a Galaxy game, bro.
yo, but Josh Sargent is one of
Jermaine, like Jermaine.
See, Wondolowski.
Tell them the truth, bro. They can't handle you, bro. What are you saying?
No, but Josh Sargent is one of 2 players for the United States to play in both the under-20 and under-17 World Cup in the same year.
Yeah.
That other
Oh,
player.
can we name the other ones?
Yeah.
How many are there?
Just 2. It's Josh Sargent and one other player.
All right. In 1999, I believe Donovan was on a U17 squad.
He was, but not Freddie Adu. Freddie Adu is the only player that's played for two World Cups in 1 year. And Freddie Adu is
that team, that 2007 U20 up in Canada, that was the team that made me a USA soccer fan. It had Altidore, Adu, was Bradley on that team?
Bradley's on that team.
Fleshton was on the team, I believe. Jonathan Bornstein was on that team. So there's a lot of we talk shit like none of these guys are going to make it. Dude, that whole 10 guys in that U17 squad could actually be.
Yeah, Josie Altidore made it.
no. I mean, for real though.
No, I know.
They all made it.
I know.
Respectively.
Who was the center back? Was it Onweyu? No, he was older than that. But I forget who the center backs were back then. But dude, that whole team was so good, and they beat Portugal, they beat Brazil. I mean, it was all Freddie Adu. He was probably like 27 years old, but he was, rocking it. And that team was so good that I think that team was so good it affected the way we look. Like, dude, we never had another team. We never had any youth come in that was really set to challenge any of them until now.
Mike, you should have seen the Nike tournament that Connor and I watched last year. It was USA Brazil. I've never seen a US. It was total dominance. Andrew Carlton, all those guys last year.
Akinola was on that team.
It was crazy the way they were passing it around Brazil's back line, and Brazil were just chasing shadows against United.
Wait, it was on YouTube, right?
Yeah, it was on. The final was streamed on YouTube.
It's on Instagram, bruh.
Oh, all right, we get on Instagram, man. Andrew Carlton, cool.
Okay, what are we moving on right now? Okay, well, I mean, we've talked about the US not being in the World Cup, the senior team. I just want to run down the playoffs for the Euro qualifying happened yesterday. Good news for your beloved Ireland, Michael McLaughlin.
Yeah.
They avoided the big nations. I would say Sweden and Italy are the big nations. Northern Ireland play Switzerland, home and away next month. Croatia play Greece.
Who's Ireland? Who's Ireland playing?
I'm about to get there, son. Croatia play Greece home and away next month, and Denmark play the Republic of Ireland.
Oh, we could beat Denmark.
And then Sweden v Italy. So Sweden or Italy may not make the World Cup. That's a tough one for Italy. Those are, I would say, the top 2 seeds, although Switzerland, Croatia, and Republic of Ireland were always all in that pot 1. So those fixtures are happening next month. The African qualifying is still going on. There's a few games that have to be replayed because of some corruption and referees over in Africa. So there are a few countries that are behind.
Connor, you got anything to say about that? No,
God, I'll be back in a little bit. But so winding down in this qualifying. But going back to the U17 game, predictions for this weekend. Yeah, you do have to get up at 7:30.
Well, I don't think I'm going to get up that early, but I'm going to watch it. I think that the confidence that Carlton and Weah and who's the other winger? Aquinola and then the guys in the middle of the park. I think Gosling has actually he's got yellow cards. What's a compilation? So he can't. I think he can't play. I think but the back two. Who are the back 2 center backs? Sands,
James Sands, and who's the other kid?
I don't know, they were playing great. I think it'll be competitive. I think USA actually is going to win, and I'm not saying
it's pretty even. I think it's pretty even. I think the talent,
I'm not saying
based on results as well. I mean,
yeah.
I know England have won most of their games, but the way United States, if you can nullify USA's strengths as an England team, then you're going to frustrate the USA team like Colombia did, and I think whoever scores first will win the game.
Gonna win.
It's a lot harder for youth players, like you said,
to cover,
come back.
Mentally. I think so too. Like you look at
All these kids
some of these
messed
guys
up in the end.
Yeah, the way a kid is on PSG. Carlton's. I hope he leaves Atlanta United the moment he turns 18. I wish they'd let these kids leave at like 17, really. But the confidence that they're going to have riding into this game, I think that if these kids are the real deal, they could. You'll see, basically, because if they're feeling really good about themselves, they'll be taking on England's back four and their right back and their left back. So,
right. Well, moving on, we have to talk about the Premier League. Champions League happened yesterday. Tottenham getting a point away to Real Madrid. Great point for Tottenham. Borussia Dortmund could not do anything in Greece. That opens a huge gap between Real Madrid.
Sucks.
That opens up a huge gap between Real, Tottenham, and the other two. 7 points. Tottenham.
Yeah. So as a fan, right? I'm a Dortmund fan. So we have 1 point. We need to finish in the top two, right? There's no other way.
Christian
I'm a Dortmund fan.
Christian
I got to
Pulisic has not had a good week. Going out of the World Cup.
He played pretty well at the end of the game.
Losing against Leipzig at the weekend at home, and then...
Yeah. Well, he didn't play. He only played the second half of that game.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
All right, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
He did play.
I'm such a Pulisic fan. Jesus. I'm like, no, he didn't play. But he...
so this is Pulisic what? Let's do Pulisic what?
Oh, yeah.
Go.
All right.
Pulisic in love forever and ever.
All right. So he played this weekend against RB Red Bull, the Red Bull team, Leipzig, and they're really good. And he didn't play the first half probably because they wanted to rest him because he did play 180 minutes of hard football, with the USA qualifier. So they didn't play. He came in the second half. Quickly, Dortmund got a red card. Kicked off, and they were down to 10 men.
I was watching the game.
You did?
Yeah, I watched the game. Leipzig looked really fast.
Pulisic had to really just end up being like a wing back. He had to go up and down. He had to cover, and I thought he played actually really well. Dortmund couldn't get all the way back in the end. It's the first loss at home, right, since in 2 years, I think. They haven't had a loss game at home in 2 years. Yeah.
I think 33. Was it 33 game? 33 game unbeaten streak at home.
Wow.
Tuchel had never lost a game.
Wow.
So anyway, and then they went to
throw fucking in there for no reason.
So fucking, my team, my
Sorry,
squad,
Mom.
they went to my bad mom. But if you do like that, no one really notices. They had to go play some weirdo team from the Ukraine. Or you said they're Greece. I don't know. APOL, I don't know who they are.
Cyprus. Apoel.
They're from Cyprus.
Like Kosha.
And they didn't, and I didn't get to watch the whole game because it was on ESPN3, so I only watched a little bit of the end. They just, they didn't get it done. They needed a win there. To only get 1 point there is really bad when you really look at it. And Tottenham and Real Madrid, they drew, so they both got one. So they're sitting at 7 points. Dortmund's at 1 point, and APOL's at 0 points. And now Dortmund's going to play APOL at home, I believe, and the very next one.
They have to play APOL at home, Tottenham at home, and Real Madrid away. So they have to win every game.
They have to win every game. They have to get 10 points total to have a shot, right?
If not, you're going to be a Tottenham fan again. There you go.
But how do you, as a fan, how do you figure out how to root like this? I don't get. I was watching the Real Madrid.
You tell us, Mike. You tell us how you switch from team to team to team every year.
Because I don't give a shit. Because I didn't grow up there. I don't care. I'm about whatever USA player is doing great. I get attached to the team, and then he leaves, and then I start watching the team. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't care, and then I pick a different team.
Okay. At least you're honest with yourself.
All right, we'll touch on the Champions League in the
American thing where it's like daft and I'm gutted after a fucking shut up. You're not from England. Anyway, go on.
Good point. We'll touch on the Premier League, Champions League in more detail next week. But we do want to talk about the Premier League, a little bit about Arsenal and Man United before we go on to the MLS roundup. Bad week for Arsenal. Bad week for Arsene Wenger. Bad week for Connor Walsh. Good week for Watford. How does as he shrugs his shoulders?
Just don't. Who cares, dude? Who cares?
You have to get behind your team now.
I've been behind them for a decade, and what? What? What's happened? No, I've done so many Arsenal rants. I've become slightly emotionally detached this year. I've still watched every game. This past game, the game against Watford, I was listening to on the radio due to
What a great job Marco Silva's done at Watford as well.
Great job, former Porto manager. But I don't know. I'm just gonna say go up 1 goal, Murder header, great. The team just doesn't finish their chances. Mesut Ozil had a great chance that he did not bury.
He does not want to be there. How much is he going for?
Yeah, apparently the story this week is that he will be leaving in January from somewhere between 10 and 15 million, which is for at one point the world's best number 10. That is
How old is he?
Not that old, man. Like 26, 27, 28. He's like 28.
So how much you lose money on? How much money did they lose on that?
It was 30 million, roughly.
But they got that sick goal last year. That was a really good goal.
Oh, against Ludogorets? Yeah,
that was good. I saw that's been on YouTube.
I caught a bus at the bar for that. No, I just who cares, man? Like there was no marking on the final goal. There's no heart. The team shuts down. They have Troy Deeney came out after the game said Arsenal has no balls. Like they're just a bunch of weak-minded people.
So did Tom Cleverley said he could sniff the fear.
Yeah, no, it's whatever.
Tom Cleverley said he could sniff the fear in Arsenal.
I'm not gonna. Whatever. We're playing Red Star Belgrade tomorrow on the road. I'm more excited for that. I'm legitimately more excited for any cup game or the Europa League than Premier League. So
why isn't Jack Wilshere starting? Wenger said he's training well.
He said Arsene Wenger said Jack Wilshere is the fittest he's ever been in his whole career,
and he's still not playing.
No, he'll start tomorrow though against Red Star. Dude, that's why I like watching these games because you get the guys that want to play. These stars, these reported stars, they don't care. Dude, Granit Xhaka, I'm not even just saying this because it's like a phrase. He was literally picking his nose in the Cleverley goal at the top of the box. Meanwhile, Tom Cleverley is he's wide open in the box. And Xhaka is, go watch the video, he's picking his nose and didn't mark up. It's just so lazy and it's just, I'm trying not to get emotionally attached this year because I have no expectations in the Cup, no expectations in the Europa League, and this is what I've found my little bit of enjoyment is because the Premier League is, dude, like grinding out games with Watford. They're a mid-table club. Arsenal, I've said this since the beginning of the season. Arsenal are a mid-table club now. They are a 8th place to 6th place club, high mid-table. That's what they are. You're gonna lose games. You're gonna have bad games. They're like.
Well, they had a nice little streak there in the league. They won 3-4 in a row there. But going down to Watford is a huge step back again. And Wenger on the reaction to the goal, he looked lost. He looked weak. It just...
Who cares?
Who cares? But Man City, trouncing Stoke City 7-1. They look like the overwhelming favourites, even though Manchester United are 2 points behind. But the way Man City are playing right now...
When's the first United City game?
It's in December. But the way Man City are playing right now is on. Kevin De Bruyne is probably one of the best players in the world at this point.
Pep Guardiola said he's the second best player in Europe. He didn't say who he thought the best was. You can assume it's either Messi or Ronaldo.
It's gotta be Messi.
Probably Messi because of Guardiola's Barcelona
Ronaldo played great yesterday though.
But I don't know if he's the second best player. He's definitely top 5 though. I think I still would take Neymar over De Bruyne any day of the week. But
you know what's weird about
dude, their City are so sick. They go watch the goals they scored against Stoke City. It is an absolute masterclass in offensive attacking play. And De Bruyne's ball to Sané on the 7th goal. Was it the 7th goal or 6th goal? Regardless, is it was just absurd. The vision.
He kind of reminds me of like a Zidane.
Nah.
All right, listen.
There's different players. Zidane was pure grace.
I know, but I like when De Bruyne. I love how when he receives the ball, maybe 20 yards from the box, and he does that quick turn, and there's so many options. He could take his man on. He could play a ball.
He'll find a pass that no other player will find.
Exactly.
And the pace of the pass, the accuracy of the pass. The consistency of the passes is unlike any other player right now.
How about this? How about this, Connor? How about Zidane mixed with Paul Scholes in one body?
Nah.
All right. All right. How about this?
He's more of he can play a winger position and attack players one-on-one going forward.
He's more of an active Pirlo in his heyday, I would say.
Nah.
Nobody was watching Juventus back in 2000, Sam.
Kevin De Bruyne is his own, and he's
Yeah, exactly.
he's way ahead of anyone in the Premier League right now. And
Did you watch Ronaldo yesterday, though?
yeah, I watched a little bit.
Here's
Yeah,
the thing about these players that are like, once they reach like 30, what's he, 31, 32?
31.
Out of nowhere, they just look like how they did when they were 25. Like they can beat everybody. They can. Ronaldo looked great yesterday, and he was literally beating guys on the wing, beating guys through the middle. It's just it's really weird with soccer and all this money. The reason it goes to youth, I think, is just because once you get past 29, 30, you just can't have that every game. You're not going to be firing like that. Your quick twitch muscles or whatever that makes guys.
Well,
you know.
I mean, Messi and Ronaldo are different breeds, absolutely different breeds, and they've done it for 10 plus years.
Yeah, but at the end of last year, Ronaldo was not doing that. He looked like he couldn't beat
Well,
guys.
he's probably carrying an injury. He was out here and there towards the end of the season.
Dude, I don't know about that end of the season. I mean, you saw how good he played in the Champions League final. I think the conversation was more about Messi not being the same last year because
Well, this year he's
yeah,
the level.
whatever. They're both phenomenal players.
Yeah.
So is Kevin De Bruyne.
All right. Dark days for Arsenal, great days for Man City, Man United, Liverpool playing out a drab 0-0. Stayed up all night for it, Mike. Remember we used to do that?
That was the best.
Yeah, I did that.
One time
I did that on Saturday and fell asleep as soon as the game
you
kicked
always.
off.
Sam would stay up all night to watch a 7 a.m. kickoff because we'd get done with work at like 3 or 4 a.m. And we woke up and watched what was it, Fulham United?
Like Everton or Fulham United.
No, it was Fulham United. Fulham United at Old Trafford, I believe. And
No, it
Fulham
was at Craven Cottage. It was at Craven
was
Cottage, and it was like 3-0. Like
Dempsey
Fulham.
scored.
Yeah, great.
Right.
But you want to do the MLS roundup or just do the fantasy really quickly?
Yes.
The third.
Oh, how's
touch.
my fantasy team
Well,
doing?
I'm about to do that. I'm about to do it right now. How's your transaction?
So my team is doing really good in head-to-head play. I'm third in my league and my college buddies, but I'm like 20th in our third touch league out of like 24 people. But I'm doing good in head-to-head.
I had Lukaku as captain this week, which was an absolute. But I mean, you just got to whack some Man City players in there, you know. They're just accumulating points. My big thing is I put David De Gea in because he's just keeping clean sheets, left, right, and centre. But in first place, the Box Records FC, CJ Trammell, 40 points this week, 468 in total. Trippier in balls, 45 points this week. Joey DiMartine, 45 points this week, 439 total. Myself,
What?
Sam Leamy, third place. Wait, I was up to second a couple of weeks ago. Why are you angry?
Joey D sneaking out.
48
2
points, 437. Chad Binney, I think got the most points this week. No, actually, Fajobi Say
Okay.
got 64, but Chad Binney up to fourth place. Good jump there without changing his team. 63 points, 429 points this week. Nick Merrican going down Gaspargas, 38 points, 424. Going on to you, Squids. Pula Gods. How many points do you think you got this week, Mike?
I've not looked at it in a while. I don't know. I think I have De Bruyne on my team. Do I?
I probably not because you got 25 points this week.
Oh shit.
Pula Gods. Oh, you do have De Bruyne. He only got 9 points to
Okay.
assist. But you do have. Who the fuck have you got? Well, Kane didn't score. Lukaku captain.
Yeah.
25 points this week, down to 18th, Mike. But you are above Connor Walsh, who is 20th. Klinsman out, 40 points this week. What's going wrong?
Okay.
Connor, you want to play for who gets relegated? We gotta have a relegation.
Mike,
battle.
we should do a little bet between the two of us.
Yeah, that would be way more fun. Yeah.
All right, so me and Mike are now competing against each other, and the rest
That's
of the
it.
league. The rest of
What-
the league
what-
is irrelevant.
Okay, so
Exactly.
you are separated by 12 points. Mike ahead by 12 points.
That's pretty much even.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have some wild cards to play. You have some.
What is that? What's wild cards?
You can use it and then transfer as many players. that
Transfer
week,
without having
and
to
then
pay.
You can do 3 times a captain card. You can do a bench boost. Your bench gets played. There's a few different things that you can do. So the Third Touch podcast, fantasy, win yourself a $50 gift certificate to soccer.com. Now, everyone's favorite section. We're winding down. It's week 104 in the MLS. Interrupted by the international week. Interrupted by the New York Yankees making the playoffs. Big week in week 33. MLS winding down. Second to last games.
Last game. No.
Second, no.
I don't forget. No, there's 34 weeks, but whatever. I don't know. Week 33. Starting with some news in the league. Definitely the top story announced, I think it was Monday. Columbus Crew's owner, Anthony Precourt, has announced that if the club cannot find a new site for a new stadium in downtown Columbus, they will be looking to relocate to Austin, Texas. This is definitely a real shame for one of the original clubs in the league. A lot of history there.
What would you do if Arsenal just relocated to Leeds?
I mean, I have no ties to London other than the club being from London. Right. I don't know. Don't care. We'll still finish 8th. But, I mean, so some of the reasons he stated is attendance isn't great right now. The Crew is in the bottom 5 in attendance in the league on average, but so is Houston.
Who's worse, Colorado?
FC Dallas is the worst. They
Holy shit.
They have average 15,000 fans a game.
Wow.
But their stadium is pretty shocking. Their stadium, FC Dallas' stadium is usually half the stadium is closed off because no one goes. And Houston Dynamo was also in that bottom 5, so a move to Texas might not necessarily mean success for the Columbus Crew. And he said that they wanted to just compete with other clubs in mid-sized markets. They named Orlando, Portland, Real Salt Lake, clubs that are selling out every single game. But it's kind of crappy, obviously, for the fans just relocating. But this was announced after non-refundable season tickets were purchased. So you have fans that literally the week before bought their season tickets, and then the owner comes out and announces, "Hey, we might be packing up our bags and moving into 20."
They'll refund that.
That's a great business model now. I like that.
Yeah, so gotta feel bad for the people.
You gotta feel bad for all these MLS owners that started like in the late '90s, early 2000s, and now all these new clubs start up and they're just like selling out 45,000 seat stadiums. They have like these genius marketing teams that like just know how to get the whole city going before you even get there. They must be so like Red Bull owner, Columbus, Houston, all these guys must be just like, what the hell? Like, how do you revamp the Columbus Crew in Columbus and make people excited about it?
And it's tough because Columbus is definitely a Ohio State town. 110%. I think the Crew are probably an afterthought, but they've had success recently. Was it 2-3 years ago? They lost to Portland in the final, so they've been good. They've been in the final. They're in the playoffs this year. They have a good team, but unfortunate for the people of Columbus. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, for their sake, they can find a new stadium site in Columbus. But what's this mean for the United States going forward, where we're going to play our must-win World Cup qualifiers that are landlocked from any South American or Central American fans that won't come to the game? That's tough.
Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando might be the new mecca of U.S. soccer.
Seattle, Portland.
I'm surprised we haven't played a game in Portland yet in that stadium.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's small. It's like, 20,000, right? 18?
25, I think, is Portland. Okay. But, yeah, so stay tuned to that story. I know that we lean towards NYCFC stories on this podcast, but kind of a big story that will unfold. NYCFC moved their last game of the season to Citi Field this weekend against Columbus due to the Yankees' continued success in the playoffs this year. It's kind of funny. The Yankees are playing in the Mets, or the Yankees' own team are playing in the Mets Stadium on Fan Appreciation Day. Definitely a smack to the face for fans, although I guess it's better than playing a game in Connecticut, as we saw earlier this season. But this is going to be a real problem for the club because NYCFC is going to continue to be a successful club. They're probably the second best team in the league behind Toronto. But they've been very lucky up to this point because the Yankees were not good the first 2 years of the club's existence, and now the Yankees, or the series is tied 2-2 after last night's win over Houston. So,
but I mean, there had to be like a contingency plan in place because the Yankees were never going to be always bad. They're always going to make the playoff at some point. So
I know that, but now it's time for the club to show what their intentions are because, I mean, in theory, if the Yankees lose last night and they lose tonight, they're out of the playoffs and they can use Yankee Stadium for the MLS playoffs. But I don't know, are they going to play the whole playoffs at Citi Field? You serious? Like, really? What's available really in New York City? It's gonna probably end up being Citi Field for the remainder of the season. And it'll probably
So
be
we're
on-
looking forward to going to a game as well, renting a minibus, taking 10 pizzas down.
We're trying to do a little playoffs trip, but we'll see
You down, Mike?
what that looks like.
I can't make it to this weekend's game, but I'll go to the playoffs.
It's
game.
not the playoffs this week.
Yeah, no, it's the last regular season game.
Yeah.
But
So they're thinking. I've looked at all the different NYFC stadium like proposals, and there's one that they actually proposed out by Citi Field, like to build a small stadium there. They put a bid for a place out in Belmont.
that's not the city though. You're losing your whole identity of the club at that
Exactly.
point.
I don't
You're
like
going
that
to
one at all.
alienate the entire fan base. At least Queens
Yeah.
is still the city, but Queens is kind of not the city in some parts the farther you go out, right?
You want to be the Queens Belmont. That's not the city. It's literally on Elmont and Belmont, Long Island and Belmont, Queens. They're like right next to each other. There's no real. It's hard to get there by train. That would be horrible. I think for they would just turn into basically Red Bull. They would turn into Red Bull. They don't get the reason why NYCFC is so much more successful. It's because it's easy to get to in New York. It's easy to get there, kinda.
And I like the identity as a club based in New York City. It's it makes soccer in the city is a cool thing. Soccer in the outskirts of Queens is not.
Yeah, like
attractive
City. If
at
they
all.
want to move to Citi Field, that'd be great. But don't the Yankees own? I don't understand how.
They own 20% of the club, so that's never going to happen. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward between the Yankees and Citi Financial Group relationship is going to be tested.
I mean, who knows what would have happened if the Mets were good this year and they made the playoffs and
Yeah.
they made a run in the thing. Where the hell would they play?
There's only so many available stadiums. But
Red Bull probably.
yeah, seriously,
Seriously.
both clubs would have to share the stadium in the playoffs. But, a new NASL club was announced today, 1904 FC, owned by Demba Ba and Eden Hazard.
Go on.
Yeah, so we have two lads investing in a new club in San Diego, which probably kills the dreams of a MLS club in San
Dude,
Diego.
do you know how much fun Didier Drogba's having in Phoenix?
Oh, he's chilling, bro.
He is loving it out there. Absolutely loving it. His relationship.
Wait, what?
There's
Explain this to me because I don't know what you're talking about.
Didier Drogba owns a part of Phoenix Rising FC in the USL.
There's a ton
Yeah.
of.
Plays for the team. And
Oh, he
there's
does?
Yeah, he's playing every week for the club.
He hangs out with the fans. He's like boys with the fans and shit.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is.
this
You
is
do
the
go to
club-
Arizona when you retire.
This
so
is the club that Diplo also owns a part of. So it's a
Diplo,
pretty hip club,
some
I guess.
baseball player,
some
Dodgers
some
player.
wacko pitcher from the Dodgers has a piece of it, but yeah. So Demba Ba and Eden Hazard own a part of 1904 FC, new NASL club, second division club.
Do you think there's inside information that relegation promotion is coming? And that these guys get caught wind, and they're like, if we buy a small club within 10, 15 years, maybe we're actually in the first league.
No, I think they have a shit ton of money, and it's cool to own a football club and go, yeah, I own a football club in San Diego. That is fucking
Yeah,
sick.
Eden
all right.
Hazard goes on
It's
vacation.
like an accessory. It's it's like a Porsche. It's like a Rolex watch. That's what it's like.
And they get to fly into San Diego and hang out in San Diego, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
it's sick. Bring your boys over, fly your boys over in a private jet, go to your team you own, and then just go piss up in San Diego. It's sick.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to own a team. And then the last major story before I break down the playoff scenarios going into this weekend is the last game at the historic RFK Stadium in DC. Say what you want, but DC United is a historic MLS club. One of the most successful clubs in the league, and RFK, for better or worse, has been at the heart of all of that. It is by far the worst stadium in American sports, and it is coming to an end this weekend. End of an era. Rest in peace, RFK.
Yeah, they're gonna bulldoze it, and CJ Trammell's gonna piss on the ashes.
Yeah, CJ, man, poor guy. It was cool because the supporters
With his $50 gift card to soccer.com.
Yeah. Oh, man. But, all right, starting off, big week. Decision day is Sunday. Every single game will be played at 4 o'clock across the league. So
Set your DVRs.
should be an exciting afternoon of American footy, watching this unfold. There's a lot at stake, different places in each conference.
Wait, are there any hold on. Are there games going to be in Los Angeles or San Francisco?
LA is playing FC Dallas and Dallas. So no. But if you go to San Jose, dude, San Jose is playing at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge game, bro. You should go to that San Jose versus Minnesota game on Sunday at 4. Huge game.
Done.
How far away is I'm in San
Not that
Francisco
far.
on
It's like
Sunday?
40
How far?
minutes, 40 minutes. Done.
Dude,
you
that's a
get,
big
to
game,
see your
bro.
hero as
Someone
well.
check out this. I'll scout Christian Ramirez. I'll tell you if he should be on that squad in November.
Well, I
Let you
know Chris Wondolowski. Well, I'm not going to ruin it. But yeah, you can see your hero, Wando.
Yes. But
Oh, shit, Wando? I'm going to get a Wando jersey.
Can you get me one while you're there, medium,
Yeah.
please? Serious. I'll Venmo you.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to get like a Wando shirt where just like it's like a silhouette of him like missing a tap in.
I want to get a Wando jock strap.
oh no. All right, here we go. Starting off in the Eastern Conference, Atlanta United versus Toronto FC, home in Atlanta. They're expecting to once again break their MLS record crowd.
Wow.
A win for Atlanta would guarantee at least one home playoff
That's
game.
a really, really interesting game.
Yeah, very interesting game. Obviously, if Atlanta can win this game and get a home playoff game, that will no doubt benefit the club. Playing in front of that extremely impressive crowd down there in ATL. If Toronto wins or draws, they will set the all-time record for points in Major League Soccer. They're currently tied with the 1998 LA Galaxy team on 68 points. So a draw at the least would put them at 69, which sets the record. And I think it's pretty well, it's pretty common to think that this is the best team in MLS history. So finishing with the most points in MLS history is probably appropriate for the club. DC United versus New York Red Bull. As we said, this is the last game at RFK. DC United has been knocked out of playoff contention. And then Red Bulls have already locked up the 6th spot in the East. So
Go on, Red Bulls.
There's nothing really to play for here. Impact versus Revolution. Again,
Love Tyler Adams.
Yeah, love them. Both clubs are not going to be going to the playoffs. However, this will be the last game for Montreal legend and MLS legend Patrice Bernier. 37 years old now, holding it down in the midfield for Montreal. NYCFC versus Columbus. Expect to be the last game for Andrea Pirlo if he does play. He's not going to feature in the playoffs. He's just not at all an asset to that team. Both clubs have finished or going to the playoffs. However, a lot is at stake in terms of placing. If you finish second in the conference, you get a first-round bye, which is definitely a very, very good thing. If Columbus win, they could finish second, depending on other results. However, New York more or less has this wrapped up if they get a draw or win. Philly versus Orlando. Neither team are in the playoffs. Don't care. Kaká's last game. We saw how emotional he was following the last home game last weekend. It was kind of, I guess, surprising a little bit to see how much he cared. Maybe because he knows his club career has come. He's probably more upset that his club career has come to an end than he is about his time in Orlando. But it was
He's
still
probably crying about the paycheck he's not collecting every week.
Yeah, true.
I watched that highlights of him against United back in '05. That was
Oh,
dope.
that goal he scored against United. Sick.
He was that was like the most dominant performance.
We won the game though, 3-2.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Go on, Connor.
But Orlando manager Jason Kreis has hinted that they will be more or less cleaning house this
He's gonna sack
offseason.
himself.
He should probably sack himself, shouldn't he? But you think, Orlando with that stadium, with the resources had there, with the support of the city, that is a team that needs to be in the playoffs every year, and they have a lot of very good pieces to accomplish that. But expect a new team next year. Moving into the West, FC Dallas versus Los Angeles. Despite how bad Dallas has been, there's not a better opportunity to qualify for the playoffs than playing a horrendous LA Galaxy team at home. They'll probably bottle it, but they need to win to make the playoffs. Real Salt Lake. So FC Dallas, Real Salt Lake, and San Jose are all going for that last playoff spot in the West. Real Salt Lake is playing Sporting Kansas City. RSL need a win. Plus Dallas and San Jose have to drop points to sneak into that last spot. Out of Dallas, Real Salt Lake, and San Jose has the best chance of making the playoffs because they are currently in that spot right now if all results hold. Level on points with Dallas and 1 point above Real Salt Lake.
You gotta go to that game, Mike.
All right, I'm going.
Sporting Kansas City could potentially finish second with a draw. A win would put them in second, depending on other results. The West is very interesting because it's so level that a lot can change. And again, that second place spot means a first round bye, so that is a important thing to accomplish. Portland plays Vancouver. This is probably the best game of the weekend. Vancouver wraps up a top spot with an away draw or win in Portland, and then Portland can finish top of the West with a win. All they have to do is win. They're at home, but it's the top two teams in the West going for first or second. Definitely the biggest game of the weekend. As we said, the game that Uncle Mike will be attending will be San Jose versus Minnesota. Following a very, very important away draw to Vancouver last weekend, San Jose put themselves in that sixth spot. They can guarantee a playoff spot with a win. All they need to do is win. Funny thing about San Jose is they've conceded 22 more goals than they've scored. And it'll be the first playoff berth in 5 years for the club, especially with Minnesota playing well.
If there's any sponsors out there, we're going to hashtag Get Mike to San Jose campaign out there. So get Mike to San Jose.
Yeah, I need you to cover an Uber. So $80 Uber.
Yeah, all right. Got
No, I might go.
You should, dude. It's a cool game to go
I got to figure out what I'm doing that night, but I'll look into it.
Moving on, Seattle versus Rapids. Colorado will not be going to playoffs this year. Seattle have already clinched. If they win, they can finish. Well, if they win, they could finish top of the conference. If Vancouver were to lose,
because if they draw, then they'll be level on points. If Seattle win, and then it's down to goal difference. So you got to go to. There's no goal difference there.
Guess not. Maybe
wins 13. Potentially, I think it's goal difference, but I'll check that out.
If Seattle win, they could finish second. A loss means they could finish as low as fifth, depending on other results. And then the last game of this decision day weekend is Houston versus Chicago. Chicago need a win plus a Columbus draw or loss to guarantee a home playoff game. They will not be able to finish.
Oh yeah, Seattle Sounders can finish top if they win, and Portland Timbers and Vancouver draw. There you go. Scenario.
Yeah, a lot of scenarios. And then Houston could finish fourth. It doesn't really matter at that point. So that does it. So it's going to be an exciting Sunday afternoon of soccer in America. Tune in live.
Good weekend. So a lot of soccer. Yeah. Premier League's back. U17s, England v USA, 10:30. Fox Sports 2. Center TV, sound on, please, Mr. Graydon. And Mike.
MLS question. Are all these games being played simultaneously?
Yes, they're all kicking
off. For each coast.
Ooh. Let me check that out.
That's a good question. I think 4 p.m. Eastern time is what everything is kicking
off. And then
off
7 p.m. West Coast for the West Coast games?
Everything is 4 p.m. Eastern time.
So it'll be 1 o'clock in the West.
Mike,
gotcha.
Will you be up by then? Will you be up by then? It kind of takes up your whole day.
Yeah, I don't know. I told my sister was out there. We're supposed to go to a boot camp workout thing.
Done. No, go see Chris Wondolowski.
Yeah, come on.
She told me. I promised her I'd go.
Yeah, no.
So
this is way more important. This is once in a lifetime opportunity. And I'll be out. I'll be out in California in a couple of weeks as well. So hopefully,
catch a playoff game. Yeah, hopefully San Jose makes it.
Damn, that's the only Californian team left in, right?
Yes, sir.
There you go. So,
hey, if Atlanta plays NYCFC in the playoffs,
we're going. I'm going. I already decided I'm going. I'm
to Atlanta?
Down. Yeah, 100%.
But what if could it be in New York? Could it be in Yankee Stadium? Could it home and away kind of thing?
Well, that's already the conference final.
Yeah, the conference final is home and away. Is the game before that?
I don't think so. I don't know. I think
it is weird. It's like there's like one game is like a one-off, then the next one's home and away, and then it's a one-off again. Yeah. It's like, all right, whatever. Yeah. But because that would be cool to go to Yankee Stadium if a bunch of Atlanta United fans showed up.
I'm sure they will.
Well, he wants to go down to Atlanta.
I would like to go.
Go to Atlanta. Oh, that'd be.
I want to go.
It's just a hard ticket to get.
We get tickets.
No, because you can buy tickets to the away. It's easy to buy tickets away if you're an away fan. You buy them through the supporters group. Okay. It was easy going to Orlando getting tickets.
Yeah. Actually, cheap tickets.
So. Yeah, $25.
All right, guys. We have run out of time, but thank you for joining in. Rate, review, tweet us at The Third Touch. We appreciate everyone. I just want to apologize to a couple of YouTube questions. It really is hard to get everyone together for these podcasts with our schedules. It's very demanding. We are, young professionals, especially Mike down in Brooklyn, and he's doing a lot of
Shut the fuck. Shut up.
a lot of hipster things going on. But we do have a question on Twitter, finally.
Just to wrap it up, Sigs FC asked us, how many points will City win the league by?
Ooh.
It's a good question. I would say 8 points. Comfortably by 8 points, maybe 10 if things go their way. I think that they're a very good team.
Barring injuries, I think they're going to win the league. But I think it's still going to be close. I think Man United are going to be thereabouts, just because Jose Mourinho is good at that. That's what he does. His second season's always good at clubs. I think it's going to be close. I think the games home and away with United and City are going to decide the title. I think it'll be 4 points. I would say 4 points.
Yeah, the two Manchester derbies will determine largely who wins the title, but I think City should win with a few
So that's
points.
a given. Like, everyone's saying City are going to win the title.
I feel like this has happened a few years
Soccer,
though.
so what have you done for me lately? They beat, Stoke 7-2?
Yeah, I mean, last season they won their first 10 games, but this season they've won, 8 out of 9 games?
But the thing
right
is,
now, but they're playing well this time
they're
around.
actually playing well, and this is finally a team that Guardiola had a chance to build a little bit up. This is
It's his team, and he did come out and say that they're finally understanding like how I want to play, and it does take time. And you see the likes of Raheem Sterling. You have like 3 English players in that starting 11 right now who are blossoming under Pep Guardiola, which can only be good news for England at the next World Cup. John Stones, Kyle Walker, and Raheem Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling is in the best form of his life right now.
But whether that can translate to the national team is another question. But Man City, your heavy favourites, Mike, for the league?
I still like United.
Okay.
For no reason other than I like Marie. I just like United.
You just like me. You just like me, right?
Yeah, just like whatever you say, Sam. But let me ask you a question. If Sterling was on the USA national, if he was American, how hyped would we be for just Sterling? This is when I realized that other teams are so much better than we are.
Dicks out,
Sterling,
guns out.
Dude, we would be like, Sterling's the best. We'd be more hyped for Sterling than even Pulisic.
No, Pulisic's a better, more recognized talent, I think, across Europe. I think people...
I mean, the players around Sterling and just make it... I mean, he scored a few tap-ins recently.
Honestly, what he's been scoring are more or less tap-ins.
Most of them,
6-8 yards.
most of the City players are scoring tap-ins just because of...
They're just cutting
De Bruyne,
teams to shreds. So it's,
De Bruyne's masterclass shredding.
It is.
We're not taking anything away from the players scoring tap-ins. It's just those are the type of goals they're scoring because they're ripping teams apart.
Yeah.
And they're just getting the ball at the 6 and they're just passing it in. But
I didn't know Southport appointed former Bolton striker Kevin Davis as the new manager. Kevin Davis once reported that I think Watford or someone tried to sign him. He didn't know anything about footy, so he had to check up. He had to go on Teletext and see what division they were in. So God knows how he has been appointed manager. But absolute legend for Bolton Wanderers, Kevin Davis, appointed Southport manager. We'll leave it on that note. England, USA, this weekend, MLS, 4 o'clock, Eastern, Western, Northern, Central, Mountain, everything. Central Time. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
The big stuff.